Valentine's Day, it's alright, 'cause I'm here with you, it's out of sight. Woo!
Mike's Daily Podcast.
FF episode 2020.
Mike's Daily Podcast
2203, 2203. My name is Mike. Can't you see that I am here and I am rhyming? It's so clear I can talk to you through my podcast viewfinder. That didn't make any sense. It's a reminder I'm not a rapper, but I am a singer sometimes at the beginning of the show called Mike's Daily Podcast. And today we're going to have some guests stop by because we're at Cafe Anyway somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Ton today. Mike's Daily Podcast 2203. So, hey, here's what I learned at the beginning of the, President's Day weekend, that people aren't using their brains. Yeah, people are kind of stupid before Valentine's Day and before President's Day weekend. This is what I found out. Why did I find that out? Oh, because I was having a nice, comfortable Friday, and all of a sudden, everybody, one by one, all my coworkers started losing their brains because they're like, oh, I'm almost on Valentine's Day, President's Day weekend. I want to get all my stuff done and leave. But then they do their stuff, quote unquote, and they don't do it right, so then I have to correct it. And thusly, my weekend does not start till, well, you know what? It finally started a couple minutes ago, to be quite frank with you. Even though it is Saturday, about 6:33 right now, it finally started for me. Because people are a little too anxious to start their weekend, and that leaves work for Mike Matthews. And that ain't nice, and that ain't cool. And you know what? I'm going to talk about it on my podcast, because the name of the show is Mike's Daily Podcast.
And here's today's podcast picture.
So I'm talking about it right now, testifying. That is why I'm so angry and upset. I think I deserve a little respect, my buddy. And have some people do their job. And do it correctly. That's all I'm saying on this microphone right here in town. I don't know what that was exactly, if that was some kind of like old preacher man or something or what, but the podcast picture today is of myself wishing you a happy Valentine's Day. And hopefully you've done all your work at your station or wherever you work at, and Basil won't be mad at you. That's right, Basil. I'm so mad. The late great Basil the boxer. Because Mike had to do other people's work as well as his own work. Think about that. So you have your own job and you do it. But then other people don't do their job, so you have to do their work. But you make the same pay. Let's say that again, shall we? Because some people can't hear very well, and Mike's on his soapbox, and it's got a bunch of soap inside of it, and he's going to use that later to wash himself and get all this anger off of him and clean himself with the soap. So, here's once again, you're on top of the soapbox, and you say to your fellow workers who don't do their job, and you have to do their job for them, thank you. Thank you for making my President's Day weekend stink. My Valentine's Day weekend stink. I haven't had time to get my lovely lady friend her Valentine's Day card, her Valentine's card. Because of this. Urgh. Real world, my friend, real world problems. MTV's Real World is returning with the New York reunion special. Yes, because you wanted that to happen, didn't you? I don't remember that one. Was that the first one? The Real World New York is the first season of the reality show. Oh, that changed the world, didn't it? Reality shows like that all came from there, and then we get the Kardashians and all that. Dan Levy, Eugene Levy's son, the star and co-creator of the, Schmitt's Creek. He left for Regina King. Oh, the next Saturday Night Live host, Regina King. Yes, he left a note for her. Do you know that happened to me? I did that. Not that I have ever been on Saturday Night Live or will ever be on Saturday Night Live, because Saturday Night Live looks at Mike Matthews and goes, huh? So what happened was I was working in Alabama as a program director, probably also doing other people's. Oh, that's right. In my life, I have learned a couple of things to avoid certain people with certain names. Yes, painting with a broad brushstroke is fun. I know. There are a couple of names you want to avoid in your life, or just pay special attention to people with these names. Because often I have found they cause your life to be, a little bit more difficult. As I have mentioned before, you want to avoid people, or at least be very wary and leery of people with the first name Todd. There's two more names you need to be careful of. Ready? The second name is easy to remember because it's one of the only names that starts with the last letter of the alphabet. I say the letter Z. If you're in Canada, you may say the letter Z. But I'm talking about the word, the name Zachary. You want to be a little careful. And I say that with all the love in the world, and I actually had a Zachary on this show a couple times, so I say that meaningfully because there are Zacharys that make life interesting. And then you want to look out for, and this has happened to me a couple times, people with the name, and this is with two A's, Aaron. Two A's, because one A isn't enough. You got to have two. Now, the female name Aaron with an E is fine, but the male name Aaron, and I guess that I'm calling it male, I'm making it binary. Maybe it's not. Who knows? They may disagree with me. But yes, and I say that because I employed, as a manager, I worked with and employed and hired, actually, two guys by the name of Aaron. And both of those did not end, let's just say, the way I would have preferred those working relationships. Just keep that in mind in general. I know it's a broad brush stroke. And if you agree or disagree, I'd love to hear from you. 336MM Daily. That's 3 + 3 = 6. MM is a Mike Matthews Daily, is what this podcast has been now for a couple days. Hey, we're outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcaster Valentine. So I left a note for somebody in Alabama when I lived there. That's where I worked with a Todd, by the way. And I was let go unceremoniously by the company I worked for. So I had an office. I had a desk at this job. They allowed me to take a external hard drive with a lot of memory, and I was able to put, they were very nice because I was a great employee. That's why they trusted me. I'm a great employee, and they said, "Yeah, Mike, go ahead. I know we know you did a bunch of production that may get you another job in radio elsewhere. So go ahead and grab." So I got all that production, all those MP3s of different what we call promos and commercials and other things. I put that on the external hard drive. But just before I left, I wrote a little note on a little Post-it, and I said, I forget what I wrote on the note. Something like, watch your back. Not your back, but watch out. This company may let you go under strange circumstances like they did me. And I took the Post-it and I stuck it up. But I wrote it, I didn't write it that ominously, but I wrote something like that. Just very kind of, in case of anybody that saw it. I don't know if the guy ever saw it who took my job, but I stuck the Post-it upside down in the back of the top drawer. And I wonder if he ever saw it. But that guy ended up, I think he lasted there longer, maybe 2 years or 3. But that's probably because he was a good old boy. He was from that area, and they liked him. They knew him from before. Oh, we're going to bring Bubba back. Because everybody's named Bubba in Alabama, I found out. And my name is now Alabama Bubba, because I was in Alabama for all of 2 years, and that's how long you need to be there in order to get that name. But anyway, the Schitt's Creek star Dan Levy, he left a note for Regina King, who is going to be on this week. And he said, Regina, you got this. Much love, Dan. And Regina King responded, you're the best at Insta Dan J. Levy. You crushed it. Hashtag SNL. Wow. That was a long way to go with that. Well, all I'm saying is that sometimes people leave each other notes. Okay. What is your favorite indoor activity? This question was asked to people who shop at Costco. And let's say practicing my drums and marimba was one of them. I've been playing for 55 years. Teaching for 35. Another person said, my favorite home activity is inactivity. Another one, somebody said, practicing a social distancing game with my cat. She's winning. Okay. From a poll conducted by online entertainment site nerdbear.com, some insights into how people are occupying themselves during the coronavirus outbreak. The top 3 most popular hobbies, as someone is texting me, maybe texting is one of them, are watching TV and movies, reading, and working out. Those are the top 3. The 3 least are learning. Good heavens! Stop. You know what? If you're texting me during my podcast, you get to be ignored. I just turned off my phone. That's annoying. The 3 least popular hobbies are learning a language, learning an instrument, and writing. The interest in home workouts is 5 times more popular than it was the same time last year. And communication is up. 28% of respondents say they are talking to friends and family more since the coronavirus. During the Great Depression, families enjoyed new board games such as Monopoly and Scrabble. They were first sold during the 1930s. There you go. All right, one other thing I would like to say about where you work and your workplace and your workflow, as some people call it these days, to be all hip and whatnot, is beware of this. Okay, so this guy is named E. Arthur Self, Ph.D., and he wrote this book, Good Success, Learning Good Lessons from Bad Leaders. And one of the things he talks about is, he says, although I was raised the son of a Christian minister and should have known sooner, it took a while to discover that the 10 Commandments make a great deal of sense from a human relations, business, and leadership point of view. 10 Commandments, do you remember that? Moses brought them down from God. I must confess that the commandment I least understood was number 10, thou shalt not covet. It really didn't seem to fit among the others about loving God, not murdering, not being a false witness against your neighbor. It now makes a lot of sense, and in some small ways is similar to commandment number 8, thou shalt not steal. Covetousness is defined as a condition of the heart that causes one to desire and to take action to possess that which is rightfully owned by another. I began to recognize and understand covetousness after gaining experience in complex business and educational organizations. Coveting soon became evident because it was so corrosive to smooth operations and productive relationships. Covetousness is a tactic frequently used by bad leaders to compensate for their miscalculations and lack of attentiveness to internal trends. Covetousness can become a standard procedure and a destructive organizational way of life. It is not a practice upon which one should build a career and reputation. Yes. So think about that. Let's say you're at a job and you're like, I want his job. I want to be who he is. you know what might happen is you don't keep an eye on your own job, and you're so busy looking at somebody else's paper, at somebody else's page to cheat and to get ahead, that you don't see your own page, and you don't see the big old log in your own eye. Boy, I'm getting all biblical today. Covetousness is a sure sign of an undisciplined leader who will search within the organization for resources allocated to others and attempt to make them their own. Bad leaders hope that capturing the resources of other persons or groups will make their staff better, their budget bigger, their workload lighter, and their status more secure. Watch out for the covetous folks. They'll steal you blind and show no remorse in doing so. No resource is off limits to them. These type of unscrupulous people have designs on and plans they don't care about the extra work or the organizational dislocation they cause to others if they are allowed to desire, then take, and finally control. I have encountered, says this writer, many bad people who, although they would not admit it when challenged, providing strong evidence of coveting. And in this case, he says, my budgets, my personnel, and the ideas, initiatives of my teams. These leaders don't plan or spend their resources wisely. They always make an argument for more. They don't go through all the hassles of finding their own personnel. Rather, they are likely to poach the ones that others have recruited, hired, trained, and acclimated. But bad leaders are unwilling to pay the price and go through the difficult processes that good leaders go through to manage well. Yes, so people taking the easy way, and that's not the way. Okay. Just thought I'd mention that. Beware of people like that. The people who may or may not have names that I mentioned earlier. Hey, look who's outside of the cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcaster Valentine, that don't have the names I mentioned earlier. Hello, my commercial. It's Madame Rootabega, and are you having a great Valentine's Day? Oh! No, that's tomorrow. Oh! Are you going to celebrate Valentine's Day? Yes. Do you have a boyfriend? Yes. Is his name Adam Levine? No. Okay. Just checking. Look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, my name kind of sounds like Valentine's Day, in that my name is Valentino Day.
Yeah, Valentino. Do you know that? That is pretty interesting. Hey, you know what? So, on Valentine's Day, have fun, do something nice for the one that you love, and, don't spend a lot of money. What, Mike? What, you cheap guy? No, seriously, we spend money on crazy things. There's a good financial type person that I know who says every Valentine's Day, he says this. He says, be careful because you spend a lot of money on Valentine's Day on things that are just going to die. Roses are just going to die. Whereas maybe you should spend the money on something that's a little more helpful. Something that will improve your lives. I know that doesn't sound romantic at all, but that's what he says. And if you can find a happy medium between what he says and what I'm saying, which is, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm saying just have a good Valentine's Day. And listen to me on the radio. I am going to have a music show on, and there's a link to where to listen to the show. It'll be on from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. here in Pacific Coast time. Links at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Well, that's pretty much going to be it for the show. I guess I could have talked about some stuff that I had saved that I guess I didn't have time to. I guess we talked about that last show. Yeah. What's this? Oh, Ted Alexandro said that Saturday Night Live, speaking of which we were talking about earlier, stole his joke. So he asked for $1 million. He's a New York comedian who made a simple request in response to the show's Zillow sketch, which was very similar to his 2019 bit. Perhaps you saw it with Dan Levy. And he wants $1 million. Okay. That was the only other thing I wanted. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the Engineer. And you can reach me. Well, A-Frame will tell you the rest. Here she is.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!